Welcome to part 4 of the Rainbow series. A lot of us are wearing green today. Now the first part of the journey, that was when we wore red, and we dove into the idea of fate versus destiny. Remember, fate does not require us to do anything different. With fate, we just keep doing what we're doing, we keep getting what we're getting, right? So nothing really changes, we don't really grow and expand. Destiny, on the other hand, asks us to change a lot, to really step out of our comfort zone. The most powerful way we do this is to first accept the package that our life is in, and then trust in the activity of Spirit through us and into our life. So when we accept the package our life is in, we get moved into solution mode, right? So we don't stay a victim. The second part of our Rainbow series was the day we wore orange and we celebrated the generosity of Spirit. We learn a lot from our relationships. That we're in many relationships. Some of them are very short-lived, some of them are long relationships. But the relationship is about seeing the sacred component of the activity of Spirit in another person. And we learn to accept others when we can see the sacred activity of Spirit within them. So maybe their behavior is crazy, but we're recognizing the divine inside. That's what we're doing. So we first have to accept the package of our life, then we have to accept the package of our relationships. Then the third part of the Rainbow series, last week we wore yellow. This is about accepting the package that is us, this body, this way of thinking, right? What we're capable of. And we become empowered when we start trusting divine guidance. And that divine guidance is not some special thing. It's always there in every person. It has to be there because we are of God, right? We are created in the image and likeness of our Creator. There's a guiding force inside of us. When we trust that and when we act on it, we grow. We move into the next brightest version of our life. So today, our focus shifts to love. And we're wearing green. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're kind of taking a trip through the chakras. Has anybody noticed that so far? Okay, yeah, right on. So today, our focus is on love. Now, we have some pretty interesting ideas about what love is, right? Because we have seen love displayed in many different ways. All the time we were growing up, through our young adulthood, middle adulthood, all adulthood, we have seen love that looks like, well, I love you, but, or if you would only do this, then I'd love you, right? We see that kind of love. And it doesn't help that, like, unless you were raised in the Unity tradition or New Thought metaphysics in general, a lot of us were taught, God loves you, but you could be smited at the drop of a hat. You really could. I remember reading the story of Abraham and Sarah going off to Egypt. Well, Abraham was scared of the Pharaoh, so he told the Pharaoh, no, Sarah's not my wife. So Pharaoh hits on Sarah. God's like, I'm going to smite you for hitting on Sarah. Pharaoh's like, I didn't know. But he didn't. Okay? He was tricked. So we hear that kind of love, right? That's confusing. That's not love. It's not loving behavior. So our idea of God can be really confused based on those teachings. Our idea of love can be really confused based on our experiences. But love is actually much bigger than our understanding. It's much bigger than our understanding. Love is a divine power. But when we're used to little love, like, oh, I love my kitten, I love that video, it was so cute, did you see the goats in pajamas, I love it, right? That's small love, and that love is okay too. But big love is what we're creating our life with. In the book of Matthew, Jesus was talking about love, and he was really trying to get us to understand how big love is. He says, if you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Do not even the tax collectors do as much? Now, you know what I learned about the tax collectors in Jesus' time? They were reviled. And I always thought, well, people didn't like them because they're greedy. It wasn't just that they were greedy, it's that they sided with the Roman occupiers for money. They betrayed their people, right? For money. And that kind of greed, right? Right? So they were reviled in their time. So Jesus is basically saying, well, yeah, you're doing as good as a tax collector, okay? He goes on to say, you must therefore set no bounds on your love. Set no bounds on your love, just as your Father in heaven sets no bounds on his love. What this means is that there are no conditions that have to be met for us to receive divine love. Which also means that someone in our life should not have to meet certain conditions to receive our love, right? As we are loving, God loves through us, we love out into the world, there should be no conditions on our love. Now, this doesn't mean you have to just let people come into your life and do hard things or bad things or terrible things. Some people we have to love from afar. But we're loving who they really are. Because remember, in our divine relationships, they may not see what's in them. They may not see what created them. Okay, the love and the light that is creating through them, for them, as them. There never may be a person who sees that. Maybe their behavior is that bad. But when we remember what is at work in them, and we see that, we call that forth. And we may be the only one that ever does that. That's divine love working through us. Okay, loving them for what's inside of them. In the book of 1 John, it says, and this is kind of a funny circular little thing, a puzzle. We are of God. Let us love one another, for love is from God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God, and he who does not love does not know God, for God is love. For God is love. So there's like a little secret embedded in here for us. First of all, that God is love. We are created in the image and likeness of our Creator. We are of God. We weren't created separate by some force way out there and dropped off on this planet way over here, waiting for handouts or happiness, right? We are of God, which means we are also love. If God is love, we are love, because we have to be like what we come from. It's the law. An acorn does not drop off an apple tree. An apple drops off an apple tree. Okay. Now, if God is love, we are love. Well, this is a big love, right? This is a force. This is actually a force in motion. This is divine activity. And having faith is part of that, right? Trusting the indwelling spirit within us, that is the force of love working through us. Love, big cosmic love, is when we align our physical experience, right? This physical body that we forget and we think we're the body, we align it with the activity of spirit within us. That is big cosmic love. That is divine union. Now, when we don't know God, what this means is we don't have faith. When we love God, we are having faith. That's what that is. Loving God is being at union with what works through us, for us, as us, and having faith in that, acting on what it guides us to do next. That is love. That is love. Now, faith is expansive and moves us forward. When we don't know God, we are acting from fear. We're not trusting what works through us. So we're acting from fear. Fear is suppressive and will keep us small. We cannot grow while we are stuck in fear and not trusting the spirit within us. So loving God is about spiritual union. With this power of spiritual union, what we're doing is we are loving, honoring, and respecting what works through us, for us, as us. And we love and honor and respect the body temple that we're using as a vehicle to be the eyes and the ears and the voice of God in this world. We're trusting it. We're acting on what it compels us to do through this body. So we love, honor, respect spirit within us. We love, honor, respect our body. Because without this body, we would not be having this experience right now. And understanding our divine nature is what this experience is for, like to remember who we are. So us and spirit, we are one. That's love. That is love, honoring that truth, honoring that. Big love, big cosmic love. Ernest Holmes, he called this the self-givingness of spirit. The self-givingness of spirit. It is the urge to work through its creations. That is what love is. It has the desire to work through its creations. It wants to work through there's this forward momentum of it. We don't have to hope for it. We don't have to think, oh, I just hope it notices me and knows that I want to do this thing in this world. It's already waiting for us to say yes, right? Because that is its greatest desire, to work through us, for us, as us. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that love is a synonym for God, and love is free from condemnation, even as it is free from fear. And love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. That is love, a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. So empowerment through love, this is important for us because it's about union with the divine. When we remember that we are a spiritual being having a human experience and that we are here to live our life through that awareness of our divine nature. So we're here to remember that we are a spiritual being in a body and then make choices that honor with our divine nature so that we are living the next brightest version of our life at all times. Always growing, always moving forward. We always will have something that guides us through the obstacles because we remember love is bigger than anything in its way. God is bigger than anything in its way. And that's what the spiritual union is about. So we live our lives through our divinity, and then what happens is this allows us to honor ourselves, like honor this body, honor our gifts and talents. We honor our body as the temple that it is. We honor our gifts and talents, and we respect what we are capable of. We put it out there. We own it. We say yes to whatever it is we want to put out in the world. When we are in divine union, we say yes to that. If we're feeling our dream and are afraid of it, we just want to move into divine union. The reason we have a desire, the reason we have a dream, it was put there by something bigger than the physical brain we have. It was put there by our divine nature, okay? Our soul, our higher self, whatever you want to call it. When we are in divine union, we commit to our life purpose, which is, first of all, to remember we're a divine being in a body, that we're a spiritual being having a human experience. That's our first purpose, is just to remember that and then to start living that divinity into our life. Then we honor what it is that is seeking to be created through us. That's our dream. And that doesn't have to be a huge, big thing. It could be wanting to prepare beautiful meals for our family. It could be wanting to create a place where children get to do watercolor. It could be wanting to help somebody just get some stuff done around the house. It's a way of being of service. That's what that dream actually is. It is a way of being of service. We're giving something that somebody else can receive, and it uplifts them also. Okay? We also honor that we are a worthy vehicle. This body is a worthy vehicle for what we're going to do. It's capable. It is capable of doing what we want to do. When we trust that works through us, when we are aligned with that in divine union. We can use this power as an instrument for change, right? Be a change agent, be a force for good, because that's what big cosmic love allows us to do. And we're not just rebelling or getting angry. Big cosmic love gives us bigger ideas. It gives us bigger inspirations. And it guides us on how to bring those out into the world. Okay, so we really become a force for good. Force for good. We will be flying on faith and not reacting out of fear. Okay, we fly with faith. fear buries us. Okay, fear buries us. And this is what spiritual union gives us. So love is already the self-givingness of spirit. It's doing its part already. It's doing everything that it's going to do, right? It's all available for us. We have to do our part, though. And spiritual union requires a commitment, right? Like any union, okay? It requires a commitment. When we are in spiritual union and we are committed to that works through us, for us, as us, we're not looking outside that relationship for something to fix us, right? We're not looking out here for maybe something better. We're not looking out here for something to make us happy, right? We're committing to what's working through us, for us, as us, and that is where we do our great work from. We don't look outside ourselves, okay? In Mark, in the book of Mark, Jesus said this, and this is really our formula for doing our part. You must love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. Also takes strength. This is the first commandment, and the second is like to it. You must love your neighbor as yourself. There's no other commandment greater than these. Now, loving the neighbor as ourselves, this assumes we love ourselves. But see, how we love our neighbor will always tell us how we're loving ourselves. Okay, are we judging our neighbor? Are we being critical of our neighbor? Or are we seeing the divine activity through our neighbor? Right? Remember, our relationships, all of them have a sacred component. If we're not seeing the activity of spirit within that person we're in relationship, we're not aligned like we think we might be. Right? So how we love our neighbor, how we love every person we're in relationship in, this will tell us how we're loving ourselves. Right? So to love ourselves now, this is our part. We have to love God with our heart, soul, mind, and might. Loving God is about acting on faith, which means this is about changing our thoughts about things. We have to change our thoughts about things because we have to be able to walk by faith and not by sight. Now, this can be really challenging. If you're in the middle of an illness or financial problems or family struggles or drama at work, every day you get up and you see the evidence for something that causes you suffering. And it can be hard to walk by faith, right? I remember when I hurt my back a while back, and it was the toughest injury I ever sustained. And I had 2 kids at home with a midwife, right? And this back injury was worse than giving birth. There were a couple of days I could not walk by faith. I was all walking by sight. I was like, poor me, this is horrible, why did this have to happen, right? That question, why did this have to happen? Which just causes more suffering. I had to get to a point where I could become conscious, okay, I'm focused all on the problem, I'm focused on what's upsetting me. And I had to start finding little things to help me. Like, I have 3 pillows that are so comfortable, they're amazing. And so I would snuggle down on those pillows, find a place where I could lay comfortably, and I would think on that. Oh, I can get comfortable doing this. I can, and I would focus on that comfort. Then I would imagine like when I was going to see my chiropractor, right? I would focus on that. But walking by faith and not by sight is a hard thing to do sometimes. Okay, so we have to persist. This is why Jesus, he didn't just say, love God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. That doesn't sound too hard. But see, love is connected to faith. It's having the faith in what's working through us, right? And when we're in physical suffering or emotional suffering, it's hard to remember that. And we get caught up, we become unfaithful, right? Instead of looking within for that to guide us through that obstacle, because it's bigger than anything in its way, instead we're looking out here, right? And mine looked a lot like, oh, if only I hadn't bent over, if only I hadn't dried my hair, if only I hadn't done this, right? And I was out here being unfaithful before I could turn back in. So this is why we have to use all of our strength. We have to use all of our strength. Persistence, right? Man, have you ever had to really persist in something for a long time? Like how hard that can be? Oh, I've been persisting in sugar-free, flour-free now for 42 days. Thank you. It literally has not been a cakewalk. Like, it has not been a cakewalk. It has been, sometimes it's a struggle. So we have to use all of our strength. Charles Fillmore says, it is through the imagination that the formless takes form. This is why we have to use all of our strength. When we go into our imagination, we start imagining something, we're thinking on it, and we are feeling it, we are pouring energy into the creation of that. When we are focused on sight, when we're focused on the limitation that's in our life, we are pouring energy into that. This is why it takes persistence. And this is how we are also co-creators. Right? God's not doing all the work. God's working through us and through our filters and through our beliefs, through our ability to either have faith or not have faith. So we have to persist. We have to see some kind of a happy outcome, no matter how small that is. The happy outcome could be laying in bed at night, feeling good about the day with a book to read, like such a good book. That may be the happy outcome on some days. That may be the biggest we could do. Okay? We need that happy outcome. We have to persist. Now, luckily, we have already done this. We've done this so many times. We have, in spite of the appearance of it not being in our life, whatever it is we want, we have persisted on the happy outcome. Like if you've ever planned a vacation, you didn't wake up and say, oh man, I'm not on my vacation. You were planning it. You knew it was coming. You were trusting it. Every time you go to the store, you think, oh, I wonder if I should buy that for my trip. Because you believed in that. You persisted. You didn't get up every day and say, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Right? You were planning it. If you order something off Amazon. I remember when I ordered a bookcase off Amazon. I made a space for the bookcase ahead of time, and there it was, vacant, waiting for the bookcase. But I wasn't sad. I was like, it's coming. I'm getting a new bookcase. Right? I felt really excited about it because I knew it was coming, even though I didn't see it yet. So all of us have experience already in persisting in something, despite the appearance of it not being in our life yet. Right? We have persisted. And you know, if you want a really great exercise in persistence, go sugar-free. I'm telling you, if you could do sugar-free, flour-free, like I feel like you could do anything, right? That's how I feel. Like I could do that. Oh my gosh, I could do anything. We keep choosing from faith instead of fear. This is how we are a faithful partner. This is how we are empowered through love, because we are in spiritual union when we choose from faith instead of fear. Yeah, we have to use all of our strength, like every bit at it. Eckhart Tolle said something so beautiful from the book of New Earth. When you're in touch with that dimension within yourself, and then in parentheses he kind of says, and being in touch with it is your natural state, not some miraculous achievement. It's our natural state to be in union with the divine within us. It's natural. That's where we're supposed to be. So he goes on to say, so when you're in touch with that dimension within yourself, all your actions and relationships will reflect the oneness with all life that you sense within. This is love. That's what Eckhart Tolle says. This is love. It's that awareness, being in alignment with that. So you can see that what we are taught about love, it does not come near to explaining the full magnitude of what love is, right? That love is big, cosmic love. It is a force whose sweep is irresistible. That is love. It is divine activity through us, and it is already committed to us. It's fully committed to us. And for us to have the empowerment through love, we fully commit now. Like right now. And it doesn't matter if we're perfect at it. It's okay. We just keep practicing. Like that little toddler, and they fall down all the time, right? We're not like, oh, for shame, you fell, right? We're like, woo, you did it. That's what we are doing. So we fall into fear. We feel ourselves buried. We choose again. Because we know we're in fear. We know we're being buried because it feels terrible. It feels terrible. So we'll always know. So we are here to remember we're a spiritual being in a body, and to live our life through the lens of our divinity, right? Through the lens of faith. We're here to remember who we are. We're here to remember that. So until next time, remember, you are the divine activity of spirit in a body. You are the hands and the feet and the heart and the voice of God in this world. And everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is.